Hello, so this is the second video, and we're looking now at, we know who we are is, we can imagine that's the cake, and we're thinking, okay, and the mind part of us is the icing and the cherry on the top. Now, the icing and the cherry on the top do not reflect the essence of the cake. The cake's different. The cake's made up of different things, and that's who you are. And we really examine that properly in the EDM Academy online courses. The first two looks absolutely at who you are, what that means, what that does. All right? So do hop along to there if you want to find out more. But the icing and cherry doesn't reflect that cake. The icing in a cherry is just an icing in a cherry. And remember, we've just looked at the fact that maybe the icing in a cherry is just there to make the life experience on this planet a bit easier to engage with. So imagine that the icing and the cherry are here to help the cake, the who you are, process and understand what's going on. All right? So the icing and the cherry help the who you are process and understand what's going on. All right? But it is not the cake. And the other thing I'd like you to consider is the icing and the cherry are actually quite similar on all the cakes. All right? But I might be a ginger cake, someone else might be a walnut cake. So the cakes are quite different, but the icing and the cherries and the decorations are quite similar. And that's true as well with our minds. Everyone's mind is quite similar, okay? Now, what's really important for this video, what's really important to understand is that sometimes though, because of stuff, which we'll look at, we start to believe and are encouraged to think as a fact that the cake's not even there. We are the icing and the cherry. And people sometimes, well, very often actually, get stuck in the icing and the cherry. And when that happens, they lose all idea that there is actually a cake. So they get stuck and they get fixated on icings and cherries, and it's a completely different experience in this world when this happens. When you are aware of your cake, your who you are, your feelings, being human, you can start to construct a really good experience in life that may be hard sometimes, but it's authentic and it feels good. But when people get stuck up in the cherry and the icing, everything gets confused, we lose all sense of ourselves, and we literally get stuck in the icing, and it's a mess and it's a drama. Now again, the online courses explain this absolutely in detail. These videos is just to help you get the concept. So that's the next step for now. Just understand that the cake, the fruit and nuts, and all that sort of substance of the cake is who you are, and the icing and the cherries is like the mind, and it's there to help you engage with the world and process stuff. However, often people get stuck with the cherries and the icing, possibly because it's more attractive, possibly because it's more yummy, whatever. They get stuck up in the cherries and the icing, and then they forget about the actual cake. They can't dig into that. And that's what gives us grounding and is where who we are lives. So people get stuck up there in the cherries and in the icing. And although it's all very yummy and extreme, actually we end up burning out. And we actually in the end become not really human, because feelings don't live up there. Who you are doesn't live up there, and it can start to get a little bit of literally a bun fight as people start flinging their cherries at each other, saying my cherry's better than yours. So that's the end of this video. Next one coming up now. The next one is looking at where people live, where the who you are's live in relation to the mind, and I think you'll find it quite interesting. Stay tuned.